Bismillahirrahmanirrahim and Assalamualaikum to our lecturers, the Kamaru Arifin. Today we are going to present this video on our investigation of the chosen three of the top 10 security challenges that are faced in corporate organization in 2021. The chosen security challenges are insider attack, machine learning, and AI attack, and ransomware attacks. Before we start presenting, allow me to introduce our group members. Firstly, I would like to introduce myself, which is Muhammad Shafi Shamil bin Shafi'i. Next, we have Muhammad Hazim bin Iwan Shah. Next, we have Muhammad Amirul Razik bin Rashid. And finally, we have Ahmad Zarif bin Muhammad Azri. And now I shall pass on to Zarif to proceed with the presentation.
Nestle Malaysia has operating in this country since 1912. At the time, it was the Anglo-Swiss condensed milk company in Penang. Later, a shift to Kuala Lumpur was required due to expansion and prosperity in 1939. For over a century, Nestle has been committed to supplying nations with high-quality products, all while upholding their halal excellence and integrity. This is consistent with their mission of releasing the power of food to improve the quality of life for everyone now and in the future. In this project, we are conducting analysis on Nestle Malaysia's cybersecurity challenges. Many researches have been done to collect some information on the security challenges that the company faces. With this information, we need to come up with solutions on how to mitigate the attacks that occurs. This analysis is important for Nestle to make sure that their security issues is at the minimum. It is also to ensure that their business is not compromised by these issues in the future. Every big corporation stores a lot of information. This information are including company's financial flow, list of clients, future product design, operation plans, and other trade secrets that could not be shared to the public. All of this information is a sensitive data that need to be kept confidential within the company and their employees only. Nestle Malaysia is no exception to this, to the possibility of being attacked by cyber criminals. In fact, cyber attacks these days are quite progressive and evolve every minute. There are many attacks that can cause damage to the company. Therefore, Nestle need to be prepared with these cyber attacks that can be threatening to their business. For objective of this project, the purpose of this project is to firstly to investigate the security challenges faced by Nestle Malaysia Berhad. Second, to provide solutions for the security challenges. For the scope, this report will include the literature review on insider threats, machine learning, and AI attacks, and the ransomware attacks. The report will also include identification, prevention, and mitigation solutions for the attacks. And as for the significance, this report is important because it will aid Nestle Malaysia Berhad to identify possible attacks that may happen to them. At the same time, we are providing solutions to prevent and mitigate these attacks. On the literature review, we are going to discuss 3 cyber security attacks that have been identified, which is insider attacks, machine learning and AI attacks, and lastly, ransomware attacks. In literature review, we are going to do some overview of the previously published works on 3 cyber security attacks that have been identified.
Moving on to the definition of insider threat. It is also known as insider attack. As defined by the Cyber and Infrastructure Security in Agency in 2021, any individual who has or had authorized access to knowledge or of an organization's resources, including persons, facilities, information, equipment, networks, and systems, is considered an insider. Insider threat refers to the possibility to that an insider would utilize the access or understanding of an organization to do harm to that company. This damage can include malicious, careless, or unintended activities that jeopardize the organization's integrity, confidentiality, and availability of its data, employees, or facilities. An insider attack is another term that is used for identifying insider threats, except that an insider attack is an insider threat that is done with malicious intent.
Assalamualaikum. Now I'm going to explain about machine learning and AI attacks. Machine learning is an advanced system of algorithms and models based on computer technology. The fundamental goal of machine learning is to allow computers to learn on their own. It is a self-teaching algorithm that learns from prior experience to provide the best result without the need for human intervention. There are three types of machine learning approach: supervised learning, unsupervised learning, and reinforcement learning. First, we are going to see the reinforcement learning. It is an approach trains the data using an inaccurate response key. The product from this method becomes more valuable or meets the specified criteria. It is the preferable approach for determining what to do to finish the task, or in other words, for making decisions. Second is unsupervised learning. It is mostly data driven, with the machine learning features of input data on its own. It uses data and a tool to comprehend the data's qualities. Next is supervised learning. It is a task-driven, requiring the user to give external information. The data will be divided into training and testing datasets. The output is either predicted in estimation, regression, or categorized at the conclusion of the procedure. Okay, artificial intelligence attack is the intentional manipulation of an AI system with the objective of causing it to break down. AI is increasingly being implemented, yet it frequently lacks the essential protection to defend AI systems against specific attacks. AI attacks include avoiding AI systems, altering results, and stealing the data on which the model is built. AI attacks have several forms that targets various vulnerabilities. First is input attacks, which is will work by altering what is given into the AI system in order to change the system's output to serve the attacker's purpose. Any AI system is a basic machine that accepts an input, does some computation, and produce an output. So the attackers can influence the system's output by altering the input. Next form of AI attacks is poisoning attacks. It will contaminating the process by which the AI system is formed, such that the resultant system malfunctions in the way that the attacker's desires. A straightforward approach to carry out a poisoning attack is by corrupting the data utilized during this process. This can be done because machine learning operates by learning how to accomplish a task, but they learn from only one source only, which is data.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Muhammad Azim and I'm going to talk about ransomware attack. So what is ransomware? Ransomware is a type of malicious software cyber criminals use to block the victim from accessing their own data. All the personal files, photo, and financial information will be encrypted by the malware that affected the system or host. And the cyber criminals demand a ransom to restore access. So the victim must pay the cyber criminal money or cryptocurrency to them, and they will restore all the encrypted files from the malware. Since the malware attack is triggered by the cyber theft, Paying the ransomware doesn't ensure that all the files will be restored. So, there are three types of ransomware. The first one is crypto ransomware. Crypto ransomware is the first form of ransomware, and crypto ransomware is another name for this malware. This ransomware employs a sophisticated algorithm to prevent users from accessing certain files. So for the second ransomware is local ransomware. Local ransomware is a form of malware that restricts access to the target's desktop apps and data by locking them out of their operating system, which means that the user or victim cannot access their own laptop or computer. So for the third ransomware is hybrid ransomware. Hybrid ransomware is the third form of ransomware. This ransomware is the most aggressive as it employs every means at its disposal to maximize profit. So the next slide is how the ransomware attack spread. So for the first one, hacker or cybercriminal give email attachment to the victim. So when a victim gets email attachment and the recipient opens the attachment as it is from the trusted source, then the victim clicks the attachment, and the next thing happens without them knowing the malware is downloaded. And the second method that hackers or cybercriminals use to spread the malware is through email links. The malicious emails link is another channel hackers can do the attack. If the victim clicks, will be downloaded from the web, and the criminals will send a ransom notification after holding back the files.
For methodology, we are going to discuss the defined approaches that show us what exactly steps to take to mitigate the three cyber attacks that we have discussed.
Now, we have discussed about the definition and the preface of the insider attacks, or also known as insider threats. Okay, there are three main steps to mitigate the insider attacks. The three steps are identification, assessment, and management. On the first step, which is identification, that helps to identify and detect possible insider threats. They require both and human technical aspects. Example of human aspects are employee of a company, as well as those are individual, such as a family, friends, or co-workers, are important in resources for observing concerning behaviors. As for the technical aspect, they involve the systems and tools to observe the network and host activity. The next step is to assess the threats. This phase is the act of gathering and evaluating information of an person of concern who may have an interest, purpose, or intention or capacity to inflict harm to an organization or individuals. Intentional or unintentional insider incidents are prevented by threat assessments. These assessments should be comprehensive, respectful, focused to support the individual of concern, providing them with the intervention methods to avoid an insider incident, and minimizing the impacts of an insider incident if it does occur. The final step is to manage the threats. There is no cover strategy for this. As well as this goes for the previous step, as every individual of concern is unique and different. The main thing to keep in mind that is flexibility. These strategies include direct activities towards any person of concern or possible victim which danger might spark. Effective prevention strategies include training personnel to recognize behaviors, promoting a positive culture for reporting, and developing intervention methods that can treat each employee's dignity and privacy with respect. In the early stages of the threat management process, the organization should develop a cooperative relationship with the local law enforcement and specify situations under which it may request help. By doing this, the law enforcement can help the organization plan, organize an emergency response. That is all for me. Now I will pass it to the next presenter. Thank you.
Now I'm going to explain about machine learning and AI attacks. How to identify. There are a few ways to identify machine learning and AI attacks. As we know, machine learning is an advanced system that consists of multiple algorithms. An artificial intelligence attack is an attack that will change the result of an AI system and can steal data from the system. With the system being altered, we will know that the system is already being attacked and we need to react to it as soon as possible. How to prevent? Preparing for AI attack is the best approach to avoid them. Always assume that your system will be attacked at some point. If not now, then tomorrow. Always alert, but without a strategy for dealing with the attacks is also a problem. You must have a strategy in place to deal with it so that you are not caught off guard when the time comes. You may also perform a risk assessment on any potential system threat. How to prevent? Preparing for AI attack is the best approach to avoid them. Always assume that your system will be attacked at some point. If not now, then tomorrow. Always alert, but without a strategy for dealing with the attacks is also a problem. You must have a strategy in place to deal with it so that you are not caught off guard when the time comes. You may also perform a risk assessment on any potential system threat. The mitigation. AI attacks rely on deceiving AI systems the majority of the time. Due to that, depending on human assistance to limit or lessen the danger of being attacked is a viable option. A different alteration could be too delicate for a human to notice, but a well-trained discriminator algorithm might easily spot it. Defensive distillation is another option to consider. It will help the architecture's model generalize to samples output of its training datasets, smoothing the model learned during training. As a result, a model should be able to distinguish between adversarial and non-adversarial examples more accurately.
To know that our computer or laptop have the ransomware, there are many ways to know that your machine can have ransomware. Malware can infect the victim in many ways. Since the malware is already inside the victim's machine, the malware will use the resources of the victim machine. The example of resources is memory, CPU, or other tools that need to be run inside the victim machines. One of the signs to know that you have infected by ransomware is when the increase of the CPU or disactivity for no apparent reason, which means the malware use the resources to execute all the malware program the attacks. So as for the business or a big company, the defense mechanism that can be applied is to create honeypots. The honeypots are decoys for the hackers to attack it. Honeypots are content file repositories that look like legitimate repositories. Then when the attackers attack the honeypot, it will give early detection that an attacker will attack the organization. Then the organization can do backup to their file system or add some defense mechanism like firewall or antivirus. So as for the next way to prevent the attack is the attacker does the phishing attack to spread the malware. They will choose the easy target inside the company as it can be easy to exploit. In order to prevent ransomware, an organization must educate their employees about the phishing attack that can be done by the attacker to spread the malware. So the second point is educate the employee about the phishing attack and the malware. As to mitigate the ransomware attack, we can use the mitigation technique, which is use the SSDT tools. SSDT is one of the mitigating technique that may be used to identify the process that initiate the encryption of all files. SSDT stands for Monitoring of File System Activity. It monitors the file system within the system, allowing it to build a pattern and pinpoint which files have been accessed, which means that SSDT tools can figure what process that have start the malware, and we can locate the process that execute the malware, then we can kill it.